This is the Financial Beat, helping you hit all the right notes in your financial plan. So sit back as we strike up the band. The Financial Beat with Logan Sadler starts now.
Welcome to the Financial Beat with Logan Sadler, Vice President and Chief Investment Officer at Overrated Financial, serving you wherever you happen to be in Southern California. We appreciate your taking a little time to listen to the show today. My name is Ron Stutz. Always a pleasure to be with Logan. We're going to talk about getting you to and through retirement. And Logan, first of all, it is awfully good to be back with you on the radio.
Yeah, always good to be back on the radio show. Feel like we got a good little agenda lined up here. Got some exciting things to talk about and really looking forward to it.
We're going to talk about a lot of important things today, all having to do with getting you to and through retirement, your financial situation. And the number to call if you'd like a discovery meeting with Logan Sadler. That's where he discovers things about you. You discover things about him, and you kind of get to know each other. The number is 888-823-PLAN. That is 888-823-PLAN. That is a number for Overrated Financial, offices in Hemet and Redlands. Again, the number 888-823-PLAN. Well, let's talk about emotions and financial decisions. I know you deal with a lot of different emotions when you meet with your clients and help them as best you can. Most people like to think that they always make decisions based on logic and facts. We all do to a degree. But the truth is that emotions usually play a role for all of us in the decision-making process. What types of emotions do you find are likely to drive financial decisions?
Yeah, that's a really great point you brought up there. I mean, I had a client a few years ago. I remember when there was some market volatility going on, as there tends to always be at some point. And she said, I think I should do X, Y, and Z with this, right? And I said, okay, that's not a problem. If that's how you feel, let's talk through this. And I said, are you thinking that's like a financial decision that makes sense? Or is it, emotional? She says, money has nothing to do with emotion, right? And I remember laughing. I was like, well, I wish that were true, right? I mean, I think money has a lot to do with emotion. Investing has a lot to do with emotion. And so what I would say is the two common emotions you typically see with clients or see with people when it comes to investing and financial planning is you typically see fear. Right, when you see things going haywire, and I know we've been through a lot of these times over the last few years where you see just a lot going on. You got elections, you got a lot of the political stuff going on. You had the whole COVID thing going on. I mean, there's just kind of seems like there was one thing after another there going on the last few years, and it causes a lot of those fear-driven emotions. Right? Oh, we've never seen anything like this, or what happens? Right? What would happen if this continued? And so you start to see a lot of that, and I would say that would be the fear side of things. And then the next side you see is greed. Right? You see a lot of people say, man, if the market's never going to go down, right? I'm going to keep making 10, 12% a year, and I'm going to be fine. Market's never going to go down. Stocks only go up, right? And unfortunately, most people find out the hard way that stocks do go up and down. And it's very important to really stick to what your principles are and what your plan risk is, and understand that there is a lot of emotion that goes into both fear and greed to make sure that we're managing those expectations with the financial plan. Because I tell you what, I do a lot of, we've met with tons and tons of people throughout the years, and we have lots of clients and continue to meet with lots of people. And I could tell you that emotion is definitely up there with most of those decisions that we make.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit more. What are some of the mistakes that you've seen people make because of emotional decision making?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've seen all different spectrums, all over the spectrums of different types of things we could have done differently or made mistakes. And a lot of them, like I'll speak on that fear one. I had we have a lot of clients, and I only had 2 clients during COVID that actually, said, hey, listen, the market's going down. It's never going to come back, right? I think, we had obviously an investment plan put together, went over their risk tolerance. They had money in cash. They had, one of them had a house, rental, and the other ones had annuities and stuff. So, a really well-diversified plan. And I remember when the market went down, they said, hey, listen, the market's never coming back. I got to get the money out of there. I need to go to cash or somewhere safe. And I just remember talking with them. They were already retired. Nothing had really changed, right? I always tell people you should be making your financial decisions based off of your financial well-being, right? Meaning something changed, you lost income, or you were just suddenly retired or lost a spouse, something of that sort. And I remember nothing nothing had happened, right? Just the market was down. So he said, and he and she said, hey, I just need to get out of the market, go to cash and wait this out.
Yeah.
And I remember talking with them and saying, hey, listen, I understand this is never a fun time. Market goes up, market goes down, right? Never a great feeling when it goes down. And they said, this is a smart financial decision because the market will never recover from this, right? Well, everyone knows what happened, right? The market shot back up in pretty much record time. And again, no one can predict when it was going to go back up. I always tell people if you're looking for a financial advisor that's a magician that could tell the future, it's not me, right? I do not have the keys to the future. But I just remember after it had went up, I didn't have to call him. He called me. And I remember him saying, you know what, Logan? He goes, I just feel like I don't know what I was thinking, right? I always say when the storm was there, things got cloudy, right? And you think you're making the right decisions, but a lot of that was driven off of, again, fear. Didn't understand the long play of the market, didn't understand his investment plan. Because as I mentioned, he had multiple different avenues of income and other types of protected assets and types of like annuities and CDs and things of that sort. And just kind of let that emotion get the best of him during a volatile time. And again, I'm one of those people that I told him, hey, you can't harp on it too bad. All you could say is, hey, listen, maybe we learned a very valuable lesson here that when you're investing and when you're looking at a financial plan, not just one investment, but the financial plan, you got to understand that some of that money that we're going to leave in the market might go up or down depending on what types of investments we're in. But you got to understand it's a long play and not let those emotions get the best of you to make those costly mistakes.
You're listening to the Financial Beat with Logan Sadler, Regary Financial. My name is Ryan Stutz, and the very important number for you to call if you want a conversation with Logan, 888-823-PLAN. Logan, are there times when it's appropriate to factor in emotions into your financial decisions?
Oh, yeah, I would say absolutely. What I always tell people is I think financial planning, I was actually just having this conversation yesterday with the prospect who was coming on board with our firm. And I told him, hey, listen, financial planning, that's what gets me so excited about it is everybody I meet with is in a different situation, has different, goals, has different values, has different about pretty much everything, right? Different asset sizes. And a lot of us go through different situations. And so I always tell people that there's a lot of times where emotions or maybe, things might happen to where we should change the course or to where we should make decisions. I mean, I help clients all the time where maybe they just got a huge inheritance, right? That might be something where, okay, now some emotion is coming in. Maybe we should do different things. Maybe we should make some shifts to the plan. Maybe even losing a spouse, right? That's a huge thing where I tell people sometimes with two, they have a whole different plan than clients with one income, right? You can maybe take more risk or, maybe live a different lifestyle, but now you might have to make adjustments as well as, a major life event, maybe retiring or maybe having to suddenly retire or basically any major event in life where it's causing a change of things. There should definitely be some time where we might have to sit down and make adjustments because financial planning is an ongoing plan. That's what I tell people all the time. That's why we meet with our clients very frequently. Even when you come on board, we still meet with you and go over the plan because things will change. Not necessarily, hey, the market's doing this today, here's what we should do. That is important as well, but I think the biggest part of it is, hey, if things are changing out there, right? Maybe maybe one of you lost your job, maybe a spouse passed away, all those different types of sudden changes. There's definitely some times where some emotion should be factored in there. But again, falling back on making sure it's a logical and informed financial decision first, as well as adjusting it to some of that emotional side should definitely be done.
A good financial plan is always subject or should always be subject to a little tweaking every now and then, depending on what's happening. And with a good financial advisor like Logan Sadler, he will stay on top of that situation with you. Logan, give us an example of a time when you've helped somebody construct a solid plan that worked for them mathematically, but also met their emotional needs.
Yeah, that's a great point. I could name a couple of them off the top of my head just by thinking about it. But there's one in particular where I remember him and his wife had they had an interesting journey. They in their words, they kind of did everything at the wrong time, right? Mm-hmm. But I wouldn't necessarily say that. But they had some real estate holdings, obviously, and they went through a big a big recessionary period like a lot of people did during that 2006 or 2007, 2008 bubble and 2009 throughout then, and had a really bad taste in their mouth from real estate. They also had some money in the market that did very bad. Obviously, during that time period, they had a pretty significant loss that they weren't comfortable with, and made some changes to it. Got really conservative, right? And so they just have kind of had a lot of things happen to them with investing. And basically, it came time where, hey, you know what? Me and my wife he was about 66 and she was 65, and they were getting ready to retire. And they had interviewed several financial planners, and a lot of them had said, hey, you need to take all your money and put it in the stock market, right? And he had said, Logan, I like the stock market. I understand. He said, sorry, I don't like the stock market, but I understand the importance of having some money in there. I get it provides some benefits, but I just don't know what to do, right? And so one of the things that we do is we establish a risk profile for each of our clients that come on board to make sure we understand really, hey, if the market went down this much, would you be comfortable with that? Yes or no? No. Okay. What about this much, right? Long term, what kind of return are we hoping for, right? And so we really spend a lot of time going into risk and really kind of building out that financial plan. Well, long story short, his main goals were he wanted safety, they wanted income, and peace of mind. I always ask all our clients when they're coming on board, what are your three primary objectives with this financial plan? And those were their three, right? So what we were able to do was they had a pretty good size account. They had around $800,000 of retirement assets. They had done very well putting themselves in a good situation to retire. And like I said, with those three goals of being, safety and peace of mind and income and things of that sort, we were actually able to position some of that into some guaranteed lifetime annuities that had really, really good incomes on them that him and his wife weren't going to outlive. They took basically like a joint pension on those that paid them out a guaranteed income. But again, we are big believers in diversification, so not all your money should go into annuities. I always tell people annuities can be a great investment, but they should be a piece of the financial plan. They should not be the whole financial plan. So we were able to do that, construct some structured notes in there that had a little bit of downside protection, some buffers in them, as well as we had some of the money in the market. Around 30 or 40% of the money did stay in the market, but we had it diversified through different types of treasuries and more safer type investments, as well as traditional market investments. And long story short, we were able to get them a well-balanced plan to where I was able to show them on our financial plan, hey, look, here's where we're situated. If the market goes down, we only have a small portion of your retirement that would be affected, if at all, and we have the rest of it that's in guaranteed lifetime incomes. We had some in CDs, money markets, things of that sort. So the client was able to get a financial plan that fit those main objectives and not just sold, hey, you need to be in the market, or hey, you need to be all in annuities, but really a financial plan that was balanced and fit their goals and needs, not only currently, but throughout their financial planning process and throughout their retirement. So there's definitely times when you have to get customized and make sure you're working with the right advisor that could put you in those situations and utilize those tools and services to fit the plan that you need.
Gosh, I love those success stories, Logan, and I know you got hundreds of them. And certainly, if you'd like a conversation with Logan Sadler, I'm going to give out the number in just a moment. But right now, during this strange economic time we're going through, and the election's just concluded and all that kind of thing, things are kind of crazy right now. But why is it so darn important to call your office now?
Yeah, like you said, Ron, there's a lot of stuff going on, and there's never been a better time to get a financial plan that is built to last. And I tell people all the time, there's so many people that are gearing up for retirement or maybe just getting started in retirement, and there's never been a better time to get a financial plan together. And there's a good chance we might be a good fit for you and your family to give you that comprehensive plan that you need to also give you that peace of mind and that confidence in the retirement plan. So if you're one of those people approaching retirement, maybe you're 5 years away, or maybe you're just about to start retirement and you're looking for a financial planner that could help you take a deep dive into your situation to bring some unique strategies and tools, as well as the overall financial plan to your next upcoming phase in life, then give us a call. I'd love to sit down and spend an hour with you and take you through our process and see if we are a good fit to help you and your family transition into retirement.
888-823-PLAN. That is 888-823-PLAN. That number is for Gary Financial. Convenient offices in Hemet and Redlands. You may start start with just a phone call, and it may move into a Zoom connection from there, or maybe you might want to come into one of the offices. A discovery meeting could be yours, no cost, no obligation. 888-823-PLAN. Have a conversation with Logan Sadler about getting to and through retirement. We'll have more coming up in just a moment. We'll take this quick time out and be right back with more of the Financial Beat.
We talk a lot about creating a better 401k, but are we actually taking steps to do so? Maybe it's time to stop talking the talk and start walking the walk. By texting the word advice to 21,000, Logan Sadler can provide you with his 401k action steps, a guide that provides you with powerful information that could potentially save you thousands in taxes and fees and put you one step ahead when it comes to your retirement. So text the word advice to the number 21,000 today. For this special report, text the word advice to the number 21,000.
Financial stability, relaxing retirement, tax reductions. Do those things sound like music to your ears? Then you've tuned to the right show, because here on the Financial Beat, we want to give you the tools to build your financial plan. So don't change that dial, because Logan Sadler has some information that will leave you singing the tune of a better retirement.
Welcome back to more of the Financial Beat. The beat goes on, as they say. Logan Sadler is on the radio. Again, go tell everybody you know. Logan Sadler works with all three generations of some of the client families at Regary Financial, and many of those clients have been with the firm for more than 25 years. That's a lot of dependability and consistency. And Logan Sadler wants to help you set up a plan where you have dependable income streams in retirement. And you don't have to lie awake at night worried about outliving your money. Nobody wants that. 888-823-PLAN is your number to call. 888-823-PLAN. That number will get you a discovery meeting. That is kind of a getting to know you session, an hour or so conversation, whatever. 888-823-PLAN is your number to call to make it happen. We always talk about crimes on this show, federal crimes. We try and point out a few kind of crazy federal crimes that are on the books to keep our listeners from running afoul of the law, as they say. It would be impossible to count all the federal crimes in the books because we're always looking out for you. We try to make you aware of one federal crime every week to reduce the chances of you ending up in some kind of a sticky situation. For example, Logan, did you realize it's a federal crime to sell canned tuna unless it's actually tuna?
I was wondering where you were going there. I thought it'd be something pretty wild, but yeah, no. I mean, it makes sense, right? I mean, if you can't false advertise, right? So if you're gonna sell tuna, it's got to be tuna. You don't want to open it up and it's a piece of steak in there or something. That makes sense.
Well, it's like some of these things you think, well, that's common sense. I mean, why is there a need for a federal crime, to be designated here? And I guess all of them are because somebody tried to do it one time or did it, and they want to make sure it doesn't happen again. So,
and isn't that great?
Wow. Well, let's talk about some things that are overrated in the financial world. A few things that may not be all they're cracked up to be. First of all, a lot of people spend time talking about tax advantages, and it is very important to be tax efficient, but why in the world could tax advantages possibly be overrated?
Yeah, it's very interesting. Like you said, a lot of advisors I've noticed and a lot of clients, when they have a financial plan, they don't really have a lot of tax efficiency built into their planning. The ones that do, sometimes it's done efficiently. Like I always say, we're not the only advisor out there in the world that does, good planning. There is definitely some out there, but I would say a majority of the people we meet with, they don't necessarily have tax strategies or tax efficiencies built into their financial plan, but there is sometimes where I'll see people either doing it themselves or they have a current advisor that maybe didn't spend a whole lot of time on the planning side, just maybe sold a product, right? And I want to kind of jump into some things, but first off, I would definitely say there is some very important issues you can cover there with tax planning. I feel it could be a huge, huge benefit to a retirement plan and can definitely have a lot of impact. But there is some times where I'll see some things around where I'm like, okay, well, that doesn't quite, it doesn't quite make sense. Maybe this was just a strategy to either get a client on board with that firm, or maybe it was a client that didn't necessarily understand all the ins and outs. Because again, this isn't something that most people do every day. day. Not everybody reads, tax books and tax codes or investment, analysis, right? Like I do. So, understandable. But I've seen sometimes, Ron, where like people are like, hey, I'm doing Roth conversions, right? I'm like, okay, perfect. I think Roth conversions is something that could be a huge impact for a lot of people. They say, yeah, I'm taking advantages from tax advantages, doing Roth conversions. Well, I've seen some people, they'll convert their Roth or their traditional IRA, right? So what that means for those of you that don't understand what a Roth conversion is, basically you're taking money out of, let's picture two buckets, right? So one bucket is tax deferred, meaning you haven't paid any taxes on it. So it's all taxable. And then you have another bucket, which is the Roth, that is tax free. So when you shift money from one bucket to the other bucket, there has to be taxes due, right? So the whole goal is to do that very tax efficiently, to utilize your tax charts and make sure everything is, working out in your favor and things are being done as efficiently as possible. So I've seen some clients take money from, let's say, that taxable bucket, and they pay taxes, they shift it over to the Roth bucket, and they say, yeah, I didn't want to risk much of that money, so I put it in cash, or I put it in bonds, or I put it, in something super, super safe. Well, I always tell people the whole point of basically losing money, right, by doing that conversion is to putting it into something that is going to grow long term. And the whole point of a Roth IRA is not to have a bucket of tax-free money you already pay tax on. The whole goal of that is to have money that's tax-free that also has tax-free gains on it, right? So you don't want to necessarily lose money due to taxes and then put it into something that doesn't have a chance to grow well over a period of time. So you want to make sure, that's one of those things I see all the time around where I'm like, well, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense because you lost, whatever tax bracket you're in, 22% or whatever it is, right, 24. And all of a sudden now you're just have a pile of money you already paid taxes on that didn't have any growth. So you want to make sure you're looking at that. I've also seen some clients who are like, yeah, I'm a big fan of municipal bonds because I've heard they're the best place to be because it's their tax, pretty tax efficient investments from the federal level. Well, I also tell people, well, yeah, they definitely can be, but I have some clients that are in like the 12% tax bracket, let's say, and CDs right now, depending on where you're looking, or any types of safer investments like annuities or anything like that, some of those are paying between 3 to 5% right now on whatever rate you're looking at. And if you have a municipal bond that's paying 2% and you're in the 12% tax bracket because you're being tax efficient, you still would have netted more being in that investment that was taxable, right? So there's definitely some advantages to being tax efficient, but you want to make sure that they're actually an advantage that works out in your favor and not just because it sounds good, right? You want to make sure it definitely benefits your plan and that you're utilizing those to your advantage for your plan.
Continuing this conversation on things that are overrated, some people put so much emphasis on rates of return. They get obsessed with rates of return. How can that be overrated?
Yeah, this is where some people say, well, man, you're crazy, right? How is rate of return overrated? Everyone loves to make money, right? Nobody is denying that the power of compound interest over time is huge. But placing too much on that rate of return can be dangerous, especially at certain times. But this sounds crazy to some of you that maybe are, if you're listening to this show and you're, 45 years old, you might say, well, man, rate of return is probably all that matters, right? And I would probably say at that stage, yeah, it has a very big impact and it has a very big importance. But believe it or not, some of you listening to this show that are maybe 50 or 55 or 60 or 65 plus, right? You guys are at a point probably where you're saying, well, yeah, you know what? A rate of return is nice, but I'm really looking at kind of reducing my volatility and trying to avoid losses might be more important than maximizing my gains, right? Maybe I have enough money or close to retire, but I just can't afford to lose much more if we go into a deep market recession or a deep, bear market. And that is some clients say, am I crazy by thinking that? And the answer is typically no, right? A lot of the times you get to a phase, and I see clients run all the time. It's like a switch goes off. You'll see, right around that retirement phase when you start thinking about, hey, I'm a year away, I'm 5 years away, or maybe even 6, 7, 8 years away. And all of a sudden you go, you know what, how much more am I willing to risk, right? What rate of return is worth potentially risking, where if I lost, half my money or 30% of my money, I might have to work a year or two more, right? So you see that switch go off from, we call it accumulation, which is when you're trying to make money, you're trying to grow your assets and accumulate your investments, all of a sudden do you go to that preservation stage where you say, well, you know what, I still need to make money, but I'm not trying to be nearly as aggressive as I was a couple years ago, and I don't want to leave too much up to the faith of whatever the market's going to do tomorrow, right? And then you go through that next phase, which is called distribution, where you're going to want to switch it up your whole plan to where it's going to be more focused on income. So those three phases of investing are very, very common, and you want to make sure that you understand which phase you're in, because some clients think, no, I'm still in the accumulation phase. I'm retiring next year. It's like, well, if depending on what the market does or what your investments do, could you still retire if you were down, 30 or 40% or whatever it goes down, right?
Yeah.
So you got to make sure you're balancing that in there. And that's where I tell people sometimes rate of return can be a little bit overrated depending on what phase and where you're at in your financial planning process.
Always a balanced approach to retirement planning. That's what you get with Logan Sadler and the folks at Regary Financial. Just an outstanding team of folks there looking out for your best interest. One more thing I wanted to mention here that may be overrated in some cases, commission-based investment accounts. Explain why that may be overrated.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think a lot of people think it's great when their financial advisor only makes money when they make a buy or a sell or when they buy something from them. And we call that very transactional, right? And I'll be honest with you guys out there. I do think a lot of that is overrated, because one of my philosophies, obviously, I always tell people, anybody out there that thinks they have a financial advisor that does not get paid is, come on, do the math, right? If they have an office, the lights are on, they have a staff, I'm assuming they get paid somehow, right?
Yeah.
Even though we love our jobs, all of us out there across the different industries, we all love our jobs, but everybody has to get paid. So you got to understand that. And the second part is I've found that most people don't mind paying their financial advisor as long as they know how they're paying them, right? I think that's super important, whether it's a commission, right? Like an annuity product, it may be a commission-based product, which might sometimes you got to do those because it might be a good fit for the client depending on what it is they're trying to accomplish with that particular investment. Then you have other people that charge like a financial planning fee. Maybe you just need a financial plan and you don't want anybody else to help you with the management or any of that, right? So you look at financial planning fees. And then you have advisory fees. A lot of clients, a lot of advisors out there charge, it's called assets under management, where, hey, you move over $100,000 and we charge you 1% or 1.5% or whatever the fee is, as well as you have, we manage your mutual funds and do your planning and all that other stuff, right? So there's kind of the three main ways I would say people get paid. And it's very important to understand that you want to understand how they get paid, and how much they're getting paid is important as well. But also, what value are you getting in return? I have found when people are just straight commission based, a lot of the times, obviously, they're telling you to do something. It's typically because, it might be in the best interest of you, but they also do get paid as well too, right? So you got to make sure it's, more in your favor than in their favor. And again, that's coming from somebody who we obviously do offer some commission-based products here, as well as different types of fee services that we do based off different financial planning and all that stuff. But just super important, I feel, Ron, to understand how you're paying that advisor and making sure it works out in your best interest, and that it's it fits what you're trying to do and where you're at your stage.
Well, we've spent a lot of time here talking about things that are overrated, but coming up in our next segment of the show, we're going to talk about some things that are underrated on the Financial Beat. The beat will go on in just a moment, but first, this important phone number, 888-823-PLAN. 888-823-PLAN. That is your number to call if you like a discovery meeting, a getting to know you session with Logan Sadler. He's not going to pass you off on anybody else. You're going to talk to the same guy you hear on the radio show here, Logan Sadler, 888-823-PLAN. That is the number for Regary Financial, with convenient offices in Hemet and Redlands. And one more time, that number, 888-823-PLAN. We'll be right back with more in just a moment. You're listening to the Financial Beat.
What is your name?
I'm Arthur, King of the Britons.
What is your quest?
To get retirement ready.
What is the PE ratio on your portfolio's top grossing products?
I don't know that.
Don't get blown to bits by complex jargon. Let Logan help you over the bridge to a meaningful retirement.
Welcome back to more of the Financial Beat. I'm Rod Stutz. Let me give you a very important phone number so you can get in touch with Logan Sadler and have a conversation about your financial situation. You know, this show is all about getting you to and through retirement, doing it in the most efficient way possible, and that includes being tax efficient as well. The number to call is 888-823-PLAN. Call that number. Leave a message right now with your name and phone number. You'll get a call back first part of the week, and then you can arrange a convenient time to have a conversation with Logan. We call it a discovery meeting. You get to know him. He gets to know you. You just sit down and kind of getting to know you session is what it is, really. A friendly conversation. No pressure, no salesmanship involved. The number to call to make it happen is 888-823-PLAN. And you know what? That conversation is not going to cost you a penny and not going to obligate you to do anything at all beyond that conversation. 888-823-PLAN is your number to call to make it happen. You know, Logan is on the radio every single week here, and we really appreciate the folks who listen to the show all the time, but this is not the only way to find out more about Logan Sadler and his thoughts about retirement and financial planning and all of those kinds of things. There are podcasts available, and Logan Sadler has his own YouTube channel as well. Logan, explain that all, if you would.
Yeah, so those of you guys that have been listening to the show, again, like Ron said, we really appreciate the support and all the positive feedback we've gotten, as well as those of you that like the show and wanted to find out more. You could also head over to podcasts. So if you like this tempo of the show, you head over to podcast platforms like Apple Music, Amazon, Spotify, wherever it is you download podcasts, and you can type in The Financial Beat with Logan Sadler. And again, we got over 75 episodes over there now. You can go over there and check them out at your convenience. Push pause, push rewind, and catch all that good information, as well as those of you guys that like YouTube. I'm one of those people that tends to like a good YouTube video if it pertains to me. So you can actually head over to The Financial Beat on the YouTube platform. And again, we have videos uploaded there each week now where you can go over there and check them out on what are ETFs, or how to maybe hedge against inflation in your retirement, how to understand what type of risk you're taking with your retirement plan. All of those good, important types of concepts when it comes to retirement information and education you can find over there on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. You put all that information out there for folks, and certainly my favorite part of all that is doing this radio show with you, Logan. It's always a lot of fun.
Yeah, I agree with you. All of it's fun, but it's always great talking with you, and get a lot of great feedback from a lot of the listeners out there. So it's always makes for a positive time spent.
We got some folks who've been listening to the show for quite some time and gathering more new listeners every single week, and we're really grateful for that. Hey, a little history lesson for everybody here today. 89 years ago, November 12th, 1933, the first known photo of the so-called Loch Ness Monster was taken. And,
really?
Fascinating topic for so many people over the years.
You know what's so funny is that that actually kind of is shocking to me, because I've obviously seen the pictures and or so-called pictures or whatever side of the fence you land on.
Whatever they are.
Yeah, and I always thought that was a lot more recent. I would have thought it had been like maybe the 60s or 70s. I had no idea it was 1933. So that's been going on for quite a while.
Well, it's kind of like Bigfoot,
Yes.
There are all these pictures of Bigfoot sightings, and who knows if it's real or not. I don't know.
No kidding. With 89 years though of that going on, that's pretty impressive. It's got to be one of the longest running. I don't want to say myths, but conspiracy theories or whatever you want to call it.
Well, we like to deal in the real world here for sure, and we spent a lot of time talking about things that are overrated just a few moments ago. But let's talk about some things that are underrated, perhaps in the financial world, that don't always get the love that they really deserve. And number one on my list here is liquidity. How is liquidity underrated?
Yeah, that's a great point. For those of you out there, what is liquidity, right? That just means access to money, right? So if you have $100,000, how much of that do you have access to? And I'll start by saying I think that REITs, I think structured notes, 401ks, IRAs, annuities, cash value life insurance, they all can have a very positive effect on a financial plan and can be used, definitely depending on the situation and what the goals are for your financial plan. But a lot of those investments might have some liquidity challenges, right? Because every investment has a pro or a con, right? Some of them might have tax consequences for withdrawing money early, or penalties, or just plain lack of liquidity in certain instances can definitely be an impact. So I always say, no matter what your investment accounts look like, it's important to have enough money that is accessible if you need to access it without taxes or penalties. I think that is something very, very important. Now, I will start off by saying, if you have $1 million for your retirement account, or $100,000, or however much you have saved, you typically don't need 100% of your money liquid, right? I see some people where, they got $1 million in their 401k or IRAs and some cash accounts or whatever, and they want 100% of it liquid, right? Which basically leaves either cash or stocks or bonds or mutual funds, right? And I always tell people it's just funny because liquidity is great. I think it's super important to have. Some clients don't have enough of it, but there's also a lot of people out there that have too much of it. Now, there's some investments that I mentioned earlier, like I said, the structured notes, the REITs, the IRAs, annuities, all those types of things can be, cash value life insurance. All of those can serve as very, very important building blocks to a financial plan. But you don't want all your money tied up in all of those, right? Because then that means you have no access to liquidity. So depending on the client, I have some clients where, Ron, if they got $1 million, some of them need, 70% of that money liquid, right? Because they got big expenses coming up, or certain investments or certain goals or hopes or dreams with that money. They might need a lot of it liquid. I have some clients where they need very few dollars of those liquid, but they want more of it designed for more of an income type of situation, right? Yeah. So it really kind of depends. But I'd say most of the time, most people don't need more than around 30 to 60% of their overall portfolio. They don't need more than that liquid, right? So again, using the $1 million, if you had $1 million for retirement, that gives you, 300 to 600,000 liquid. If something comes up, you could access some money and typically not have penalties or not have too much of a tax implication, depending on what types of investments and account types you have, of course. But you typically want to kind of follow those rules of thumbs and make sure that when you're looking at your financial plan, that's one of the things I build in with clients, and it's on my questionnaire for when they come in for a discovery meeting, is how much money do we need liquid, right? And we'll kind of walk through that together, because you might have a lot of rentals properties, you might need to have some extra cash, or you might have a lot of repairs coming up on the house, or might need new cars in the future, things like that. So we'll kind of factor in, okay, here's how much we need liquid, and here's how much we might be able to use in some of those other types of investments, or kind of get more of an investment plan together. But you definitely got to look at liquidity being an important factor in the portfolio.
Yeah, and it's all, one point you made is so true. I mean, it's all individual. Everybody's situation is different, and you examine all these things on a case-by-case basis, because people are just different. I'm unique, you're unique. One more thing that I think is definitely underrated, and I feel pretty sure you'll agree with me here, and that is predictability. You need to be able to depend on certain things in your portfolio to do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I think that most people, again, if I have some clients that come in, Ron, I have a client I'm working with right now. He's got 2 pensions and his wife has a pension, right? So they got 3 pensions coming in, and they have Social Security. So I mean, they're not super worried about income, right? They're going to have a great, predictable, and steady income when you look at that. There's other clients that have no pension, or very little of a pension, or maybe only Social Security. So they might need more predictability and more consistency on the right. I mean, that's just kind of common sense when you look at the, from the outside looking in.
Yeah.
So, you could agree with me on that.
Absolutely.
But the other things is, you look at investments that typically behave in a predictable manner, might look, they might not be very exciting, right? They're not as, I always say, I use the word sexy, right? They're not as sexy, not as attractive, not as fun to be around, but they can provide some very, very important attributes to the financial plan on your investments. So when you're looking at retirement, a lot of people, when they get ready to retire, Ron, they're looking for a paycheck, right? You had a paycheck for 30 or 40 years from, maybe you were a nurse, or you worked at Costco or Edison, or you were a teacher, or whatever it was. You had a paycheck coming that was consistent, and you knew where it was coming from. But now, where will you be at when you get ready to retire? You're going to want some of those types of guarantees to be the next paycheck. paycheck. So I always tell people when you're looking at predictability, there's only a few ways to look at it, right? Stocks, bonds, mutual funds, all of those are great investments. As I mentioned earlier, they provide a very important, to me, they fit a very important piece of that puzzle with the retirement plan. But when you're talking about safety and guarantees, you really can only look at, like, fixed index annuities are a great thing that can be used for guaranteed cash flow. They could be used for, again, a guaranteed rate of return, or one of those types of investments that doesn't have any downside due to the market. So it can be a safe, slow and steady type of vehicle. Again, you'll hear some of the annuity salesmen out there come on here and tell you that they're the best thing since sliced bread and all your money should go in there, right? And that's not necessarily the case, but they can serve as a good, important building block to a plan to provide some guaranteed incomes, as well as things like CDs, fixed annuities. A lot of those types of investments can be held in a plan, because that way you know exactly how much money is going to be coming in. And that way, if the market's up or down, you still have your market money that is fluctuating based off your risk tolerance. But we know we have some guarantees and some predictability to the financial plan, and more importantly, to the income plan and the paycheck.
Yeah, predictability is so important. And you're listening to the Financial Beat with Logan Sadler, by the way. And again, the number to call if you'd like to have a discovery meeting is 888-823-PLAN. I'll give you that number again coming up in just a few minutes here. But Logan, there are slick talkers out there and fast talkers and people who really don't want you to understand all the things that they're saying. I mean, there are good financial advisors out there, but then there are some who don't fall into that good category. I always say that you're a good talker, and I mean that in a very positive way, because you can explain things very simply so that people can understand them. All these different financial concepts and different financial tools. And to me, simplicity is something that is very much underrated.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you, and thank you very much for the compliment there.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
it. Yeah. I definitely always tell people when I'm meeting with, an attorney, or I'm meeting with a CPA or a doctor, if they're saying a bunch of really fancy words that I might know, but I have no idea how they fit, I know a lot about, cancer or heart disease. We've all heard those words, but if they're getting very specific on something, I have no idea what they're talking about, right?
Yeah.
I understand a lot about taxes, but I know that most of the time when a CPA is talking to somebody and they're talking about loss carry forwards or, a depreciation recapture or all these types of things, people have no idea most of the time what that is essentially, right? Or they might have heard it, but don't know how that pertains to them. And so when I'm meeting with a client, I always tell people my whole goal, and I will have to say we've been getting a lot of compliments from the radio show and listeners calling in and coming in for the discovery meeting and coming on board, to where that is the whole point of my educational type of feelings towards financial planning, is to try to be as, try to lay out all of the options that are out there, talk about a lot of different things on the radio that might pertain to you, but to make them all easy to understand and make things simple, right? I think it's so important. I think it's kind of a lost art. And I will tell clients, hey, if you're one of those clients that understands a lot and you want to get nerdy, right, dive into the numbers, perfect. I'm all about it. But most of the time I understand clients want to understand the concepts. It's important to understand the investments, understand the financial plan, but it's also very important to make sure that you actually understand it, right? You're not just nodding along and not put on the spot and type thing, but making sure that you understand what your financial plan is, making sure you can communicate with your advisor. I think that's one of the most important things. I always tell people that, financial planning and investments are all great, but if you can't have an open line of communication and be able to relate and understand what your advisor is saying, then, that relationship can only go so far, in my opinion. So, I think that's one of the biggest attributes we could bring to the table for those of you guys out there. And I've talked to a lot of you guys lately who've been listening to the show, some of you for 6 months or a year plus, and, finally coming in for that discovery meeting and saying positive things about the show. And we're able to get a lot of you guys on track and get you guys situated in a financial plan that does fit what you and your family are trying to do, and trying to make things, look at liquidity, look at all these types of things we talked about, predictability, but also trying to make things as simple and understand what the impact is on this financial plan, on this financial decision, and make the best choice we can possible to get you to and through retirement.
If it is important to you to understand all those financial concepts, Logan Sadler is so great at explaining them. And I think if you'll go ahead and make this phone call, you'll probably agree with all the things that all these other folks have been saying about how it's easy to understand things when you have them explained to you in the right way. And Logan, does this every day of the week. He does this all the time. And so he explains a whole lot more, understands a whole lot more about these things than I do or you do or just about anybody else out there. 888-823-PLAN is your number to call. 888-823-PLAN, your number to call for Regari Financial. Now, there are two convenient offices, Redlands and Hemet. And you can come in one of those offices and have a conversation. We call it a discovery meeting. You get to know him. He gets to know you. He's not going to pass you off on anybody else. You'll be talking to Logan, same guy you hear on this radio show, same guy you hear on the podcasts and on the YouTube videos. Logan is a pretty transparent guy. 888-823-PLAN is your number to call if you'd like to take advantage of his knowledge and get to know him and find out more. And that's not going to cost you a penny. Not going to obligate you to do anything at all. So why not reach out? 888-823-PLAN. You're listening to the Financial Beat with Logan Sadler, and we'll be right back with more in just a moment.
Are you concerned about living too long? Do you worry about the cost of health care in the future? These are a few of the signs that permanent life insurance could be for you. Logan Sadler of Regari Financial will help you recognize the rest of the signs. Text the word ADVICE to the number 21000 to download this free guide to understanding permanent life insurance. Text ADVICE to 21000. Permanent life insurance isn't for everyone, but it could make a dramatic difference in your financial life. Text ADVICE to 21000 to find out if that's the case.
Do you ever find yourself skipping through countless songs trying to find the perfect one? Yeah, we've been there too, and know it can be frustrating. Much like skipping through the countless advertisements from other financial advisors, it can seem like there's so much misinformation. But here on the Financial Beat, you can rest assured we're providing you with the best information possible. So don't push skip on this show, because we have some important information coming up.
And the beat goes on. The Financial Beat. Logan Sadler is on the radio. Go tell everybody you know. Logan is the Vice President and Chief Investment Officer at Regari Financial, serving you in Southern California, offices in Hemet and Redlands. You want to find out more about Logan online, you can go to financialbeatradio.com, financialbeatradio.com. But it's important to know that at Regari Financial, they have terrific partnerships with local CPAs, attorneys, real estate agents, mortgage lenders, Medicare specialists, all the folks to help offer you well-rounded guidance in all things financial. If you become a client, and you can have a conversation to get to know Logan and find out if you'd like to take it any further, no cost, no obligation, 888-823-PLAN. 888-823-PLAN is your number to call to make it happen. No cost, no obligation, 888-823-PLAN. Call that number today. Hey, we have some great questions today in the mailbag, Logan. The first one is from Dan in San Diego. And Dan says, I don't have nearly as much money in my Roth IRA as I have in my traditional IRA, so I'm thinking of doing a Roth conversion this year and probably for the next several years. How much should I think about doing each year?
Yeah, great question, Dan. Thanks for writing in and appreciate you listening to the show. Roth conversions are something where, like I always talk about, everything is so individual to your specific situation. But Roth conversions can be one of those strategies that can be very effective depending on, what stage you're at, what types of income you're looking at, and really what the whole goal of it is based off planning down the road. Now, what I would say is, depending on how much you should convert, it really should depend based off of your income you're at. You want to make sure the whole point of it, right, is like I talked about a bucket strategy earlier, is to get money from the taxable bucket to the tax-free bucket and do it the most efficient way and have the most amount of money left over at the end as possible, right? So the whole goal is to kind of look at what tax structure you're currently at based off income and things of that sort. And then that'll give us a good idea of how much we want to convert. Because if we're in the, let's say, 22% tax bracket, we know that's a very wide tax bracket that goes from a very wide range. So if you make $100,000 a year, you might be able to convert, $50 or $60 or $70,000 over and still be in that 22% tax bracket, right? So same with the 24% tax bracket, again, very wide. But I would say that amount depends on if you're married, if you're single, what tax bracket will you be in the future? That'll help us decide if the Roth conversion is even worth it, because you want to make sure the whole goal of it is at the end of it that you end up with the most amount of money as an overall asset, right? Tax-free is great, but if you're going to be in a super low tax bracket, it might not make a whole lot of sense to do the conversions. So you definitely, before doing that, I'd recommend you give us a call or contact a CPA or an advisor or somebody that can give you some, a little bit better advice on that, to be specific, because I'd love to, as you could tell, I'd love to take a deep dive into that and kind of run through those numbers and show you where that might make a lot of sense and might be a really good tax advantage way to make your situation better down the road, or why it might not be. I think it's important to explore both those possibilities. But great question.
All right. Thank you so much for the question, Dan. And we move on now to Kim, who is in Hemet. And Kim has the question. She says, I've lost almost 20% of my 401k over the last 12 months. Should I do a rollover to a new account?
Yeah, great question, Kim. And you're right up the road there. So appreciate you listening and writing in. Yeah, the market's been off to, depending on which investments you're in, it's been off to a very rocky start this year and looking like it's not going to end much better. But, it's one of those things where I would say you definitely need to make sure you're consulting with, give us a call. I'd love to consult with you and kind of look over where you're positioned, because really what an advisor should be doing is, yes, doing the investments and going over all that, but also providing some of that education and that guidance on what your risk tolerance is. Are we in a proper type of investment for our current goals and future goals, and making sure you're properly situated? Because because you roll it over to a new account, you might go right back into similar mutual funds or similar stocks or whatever it is you're in, and it might not be much better, right? So you want to make sure you're kind of understanding what type of risk you're currently in, and if you made the changes to that portfolio, what would be the pros and the cons of that, and kind of getting a little bit more of some education on what types of investments you're in and why they might be down that percentage. Because trust me, I understand, Kim, nobody likes losing money, especially if you don't quite understand why or how it happened that fast, right? So give us a call. I'd love to spend some time with you and kind of go over that. And that's definitely what we do at our discovery meeting, is kind of go over your situation, your risk tolerance, and what you currently have, and try to get something more customized and more fitted to what it is you're trying to accomplish with your investments.
All right. Good question so far from Dan and Kim, and one more here from Dana in Arrowhead. And Dana says, my dad is in his 90s and his health is starting to decline. Would it be wise for him to start gifting money to me and my sister while he's still alive, so that we don't have to deal with so much estate tax? We've also talked about him possibly signing over his house to us. Logan, what do you think is the best course of action?
Yeah, that's a great question. I always tell people, Dana, great question, but I'd always tell people, whenever we're moving assets, gifting assets, or doing anything, you want to make sure you involve three people, right? You want to make sure you're talking with your investment person, which is us or whoever your financial planner is, and make sure you're going over the pros and cons of that, as well as we always loop in the CPA, and if needed, the attorney that might have the living will or trust and things of that sort orchestrated, to make sure, hey, if we did this, what are the pros and cons of it? Because I'll be honest, a lot of the time, depending on asset size, again, if you're looking at an extremely high net worth client, there's some strategies that might be better suited than just gifting away, as well as if there's certain assets that are highly appreciated, like maybe real estate or individual stocks or mutual funds or things of that sort. A lot of the times they get a stepped up basis. What that would mean is, if you passed away, if everything was set up correctly and it had a huge capital gain on it, any money once your dad passed away, you would inherit that at a stepped up value, right? So typically what that means is it's a great way to sometimes minimize or reduce taxes through estate planning. So you want to make sure before you start giving money away, you understand that, hey, would this be better to let sit in dad's name until something happened to him and then it would transfer more efficiently? Would gifting money away, would that hurt dad for qualifying for any type of Medicare programs or long-term care? All of that stuff kind of comes into play. So that's why I think, Ron, one of the biggest things that we bring to the table for clients out there like yourself is looking at the big picture and working with a team. Again, we work with a group of real estate mortgage lenders. We work with a group of CPAs as well as attorneys, to where when we're looking at these types of questions and these types of concerns in a financial plan, we could bring in all the right pieces to make sure we're covering it at all ends. And I think that's something that a lot of advisors don't necessarily have. They just want to do investments, but we really look at how is this impacting our clients, and also how is this impacting the estate? Is everything set up properly? Do we have a trust involved? All of that stuff I think is so critical and crucial to the retirement plan And again, most people don't have that when you're looking at the retirement plan. So great question, Dana. I think it's definitely something you got to come in and we could kind of take a look and go over all those questions and bring the team in to make sure everything is situated as efficiently as possible to transition over to you and your siblings.
Well, Logan, we have found ourselves short on time again. We always run short on time because we both talk so much. But
Yeah.
there's been a lot of stuff squeezed in today's show. And to close it out, is there anything you would say to folks out there about why it's so important to get in touch with you now?
Yeah, I always tell people the sooner you get in touch with a good financial advisor, whether you're 50 years old, 55 years old, 70 years old, whatever age you are right now listening, typically, when the more time we have, the more we can do. And so typically looking at Roth conversions, tax planning, estate planning, income planning, all of that stuff sometimes takes time to get things situated and to get things set up correctly. And I could say from personal experience with working with lots of different clients, the more time we have as the advisor to get things situated and get things set up for whatever it is we're planning for, the better off we are. The more time we have, the more strategies we can implement, and typically the bigger difference we can make with the more time. So I definitely always say there's never a better time than right now to give us a call. And again, just to see if we're a good fit, come in for that discovery meeting, come into one of our offices or via Zoom, and we could really just kind of take a deep dive into your situation and really see if we could bring some value to the table for your retirement plan.
888-823-PLAN. That is 888-823-7526. But the easy way to remember it is by using the word plan, 888-823-PLAN. That number is for Regari Financial. Logan Sadler is the VP and Chief Investment Officer. Would love to have a conversation with you about your particular financial situation. And all you got to do is reach out with that phone call. You've taken the right first step by listening to the show. Now call the number 888-823-PLAN and set up a time to have a discovery meeting. 888-823-PLAN. Again, no cost, no obligation. Logan, it's been my pleasure to hang out with you for a while today, and I'm already looking forward to next week's show.
I tell you what, Ron, me too. Can't wait for next week's show and looking forward to it. And hopefully everybody listening got some value and some education. And hopefully you enjoy the show. And hopefully you'll tune in next week. We'll see you back here.
You've been listening to the Financial Beat with Logan Sadler.
The information provided is for educational purposes only and is not intended as investment advice for anyone. All information discussed is believed to be from reliable sources. However, we make no representation as to its completeness or accuracy. The views presented today are those of BD Financial Group and do not necessarily represent the views of Alpha Star Capital Management, LLC. The opinions expressed are subject to change without notice and do not constitute financial, tax, or legal advice. Please consult with your financial professional before executing any financial strategy. Investment advisory and financial planning services are offered through Alpha Star Capital Management, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Alpha Star and BD Financial Group are independent entities. SEC registration does not constitute an endorsement of the firm by the Commission, nor does it indicate that the advisor has attained a particular level of skill or ability.